We're back in Cowley County, and actually we're not in Cowley County yet. This is Cedarvale. We're just right next to Cowley County, and but this is near where we're going to start. We're in Chautauqua County, and Cedarvale is a town that I've had on a previous video about Route 166 that kind of goes right through this area heading west, and we'll also go to some towns that are along that old video that I did as well, so I might reference that old video a couple times. But yeah, we're gonna do part 3. This is I guess the end of the trilogy. I did 2 parts of Cowley County, kind of the northern half. Took a little while to get through those, and then yeah, we'll finish up with southern Cowley County. So let's go ahead and head west into Cowley and get the video started.
There's Cedarvale, and you can see where the county line is, that yellow county line. And the green line is the previous video that I've done on 166. And so you can see the orange, that's going to be what we follow today. So look for that orange line. We're going to take that west. There's a little dot, Taussig, and then up some back roads to Hooser. There's 166 right there. And on my map, there's a little dot that says Taussig, and there's nothing here. And Cedarvale is that way. And then a railroad came through here and kind of went off that direction, maybe through where those trees are right now. And a lot of times there just needed a railroad stop a few miles between towns. And so Taussig never had a post office and never really developed into a town or anything like that. So possible it was just a little stop on the railroad. So believe it or not, the railroad came through up here, and this is Hooser. And I took the road, and there's a little gate there talking about the ranch. There's a house over there, and there's a nice history of the town. It's cool that they document the town of Hooser. They got a couple of buildings. I don't know if these are old buildings or just made to look old, but probably the property of the people that live here. So hopefully I'm not trespassing or anything like that. But it's kind of interesting. This had a post office from 1887 till 1944. Had a school, had a population in the 20s in 1910. And, you know, just being way out here and the railroad being abandoned at some point, that was the end of Hooser. But kind of a cool thing. They have it documented. Glad that they were able to do that here. I wish more towns did that. Come back down to 166 and then head up to Dexter, and then on up a little bit, there's a little dot on the map, Eaton. Over to our first incorporated town of the day. This is Dexter. They have a nice little park here, and it is a nod back to their history with helium. So in 1903, a newly drilled natural gas well produced a gas that would not burn. Scientists from the University of Kansas analyzed it and found it contained unusually high amounts of helium and nitrogen with very little methane. The discovery became
one of the first major scientific confirmations that commercially useful quantities of helium existed in natural gas, helping launch America's helium industry right here in the small town of Dexter. Pretty cool. So in 1870, the Dexter Town Company was organized by a group of investors from Emporia. Post office was established, and Dexter was named after a famous champion trotting horse owned by New York publisher Robert Bonner. So in 1875, a water-powered flour mill became one of the community's first important industries, serving local farmers. Railroad came in the late 1870s, the Missouri Pacific, making it a shipping center for livestock and agricultural products. Early in the 1900s, Dexter became a prosperous small agricultural community. They had banks, churches, schools, businesses, hotels, and a weekly newspaper known as the Dexter Dispatch. And then, like many rural Kansas communities, the population gradually declined as farming became more mechanized and residents moved to larger cities for employment. And you can see a lot of the remnants of the old downtown here. There's some pretty cool buildings. There's a nice mural there. When you look at the population, it peaked in 1910 at 512. Kind of went down and back up a little bit, and in 2020 went down quite a bit. That's the lowest it's been since 1880. On our map it says Eaton right here, and as you can see there's not much here. There's a house over here, there's a kind of like one old building over on this property. You can kind of see it over there. But Eaton had a post office from 1887 till around 1905, and I think it followed the railroad up from Dexter to here, and had a school and a small population enough to have a post office. So yeah, not much, well, really nothing left that I could find here of Eaton, but still a dot on the map to go check out. We're going to backtrack a little bit from Eaton back down through Dexter. There's a little dot, see if anything's at Otto, then Maple City. Then we'll be back up on 166. There's a state park right there. And then a couple more dots, Vinton and Cameron.
Pretty quiet here in Maple City, although we do have some old buildings to check out. So Maple City post office started in 1872, and it was open all the way till 1988. So way longer than most of these communities. Not sure where the post office would have been, but probably in that building. But yeah, from what I could see on the map there, it doesn't look like the railroad ever came to Maple City. So just kind of survived as a community, which is really difficult. We're not too far from 166, but we're a little bit off the beaten path, and that's probably why it's faded to what it is today. So pretty interesting. There's a couple of churches here and a few houses. That's about it.
Flipping over the page, we're going to head into Silverdale, just south of 166, and then continue west into Ark City.
A lot of our towns we've been going through today are pretty empty, but Silverdale has quite a few people, 60, 70 people. They got some interesting buildings around town. I think this used to be a bar of some sort. So they got a sign right there. Free beer tomorrow. All right. Just so you know. And so there's some other buildings here too, but so Silverdale has a lot of really interesting limestone, and I think they've quarried that around here. You can see some of the old buildings with that limestone on it. Post office from the 1870s until 1978. And so pretty long, over 100 years with a post office here. Like I said, still people living in the area, and some houses there like that that have some of that old limestone that's built of. So pretty cool.
Okay, our next town is, as they say, Ark City. And if you're not from around here, they pronounce the Arkansas River as the Arkansas River, so they just shorten Arkansas City to Ark City. So I've done this already. I've been to Ark City and have explored it when I was on 166. So I'm gonna insert a little bit of that video here. And it's a bigger town, kind of small city, so we don't do a whole lot of adventuring in those. There's a lot of videos out there probably can find about it, but yeah, very cool place. Here's a little bit of Ark City.
Ark City was established as a town in 1870. They had a lot of different names they were trying to figure out. They almost named it Adelphia, Creswell, and Walnut City before Arkansas City was officially chosen in 1870. 1877, the railroad came through. They had a couple different railroads, and it really grew in the late 1800s to a population of over 8,000. And then 1891, a lot of people moved into this area in anticipation of the Cherokee Strip land run in Oklahoma. In fact, it kind of rivaled Wichita in size and how many businesses there were. There was an opera house, lots of hotels, manufacturing, agricultural economy. So it was quite the growing city. And then it just kind of stalled out there in the early 1900s, but has remained about that same size until today.
It would be hard to imagine to find a place with more red brick than Ark City. Maybe somewhere that's bigger, but for a town of 11,000 people, most of the side streets have red brick in them. So it's kind of amazing to drive around. Almost everywhere you go, you're driving on brick, except for kind of right down the main street. So yeah, it's pretty awesome for fans of the old red brick roads.
From Ark City, we're going to head north up to Hackney and also check out Strother Field, the airport right there next to it. And then back down, we're going to go to Geuda Springs.
It's kind of easy to miss this community. This is Hackney, even though it does say it in big giant letters there on the elevator. And they got a little church here. And not too much else, but it's more of an industrial park area. It had a post office from the about 1870s to the 1920s. And then there was a little bit of a second life here because right on the other side of the railroad tracks, right across the way, they built an Army airfield to train pilots for World War II. So the community had a little bit of boost. And then the airfield became just like the community airport here between Ark City and Winfield eventually. So yeah, kind of interesting.
Geuda Springs actually straddles Sumner and Cowley County right on the county line. It began in the early 1870s as a settlement near the mineral springs here. In the early 1880s, entrepreneurs began Commercially developing the springs, the healing waters were promoted as cures for numerous illnesses, attracting visitors from across Kansas and neighboring states. The town was incorporated in 1884, became known as one of Kansas' premier mineral water resorts. The springs were actually bottled and shipped throughout Kansas. The St. Louis and San Francisco Railroad, the Frisco, brought tourists directly to the resort. In around 1890, a dam was built across the nearby salt marsh, creating a 50-acre salt lake, the largest body of salt water in Kansas at the time. By the early 1900s, the town supported banks, churches, schools, hotels, and several retail stores besides the railroad. By the mid-1900s, as modern medicine became accepted, the popularity of mineral resorts declined and tourism faded. You can see the population was the highest early on at 355 in 1890. Had another peak there in 1930, and the 158 today is the lowest it's ever been.
There's no springs necessarily here in the town. Let's see if we can find any. On Google Maps, there's a dot that says maybe they have some springs a little bit north of here, so let's go check that out.
You can see where Geuda Springs is right on the border there with Sumner County. We're actually going to go into Sumner County as we head up towards where the springs are on my Google Maps. It's right up there by Rainbow Bend.
High quality H2O. Where you at? Oh, hey.
Hey, buddy. How you doing? Hey there.
Final town, Geuda Springs. And we found one. Definitely a little worn out looking, a little bent. Kind of like it though. Let's see how she spins. Oh wow, that one spins really fast. Don't let the looks fool you. Wow. Okay, so could do a little touch up with the paint, but other than that, pretty excellent. 8.2.
Now that's what I call high quality H2O.